Coming up on Down Under EV Adventures, I spend a day with the BYD Dolphin. Welcome back to Down Under EV Adventures. So today we're going to hop into the BYD Dolphin Dynamic, which I have to say is a pretty unimpressive car. This is the lower spec model. It's only got 70 kilowatts of power, a very slow 0 to 100 speed, and a pretty tiny battery. And without even ever having driven it, I would say if you're going to be interested in buying this sort of car, it's probably best to stump up the extra few thousand and get the premium version of this car. Now, as you'll see, it's by no means a terrible car, but it certainly doesn't have much performance, and it does have a few faults. So let's get into it and join me in real time as I pick up the car and just share my first impressions, and then later on I go into a little bit more detail. Let's get into it. I've got the Dolphin, which I've never driven before. I've sat in one before and had a look at it, and this is what they look like. So a little bit smaller, obviously, than the Atto 3. Top start button is in a little bit of an awkward place there. You can see you have to reach around, which is a little bit silly. And the gears, this is how to actually do the gears. So a little bit different. No actual gear knob in the middle, although there's still something there that looks like it's the parking brake. If you lift up for the electric parking brake. So it looks like we've got the annoying Atto 3 sounds on this car. But other than that, it's a fairly easy layout. You've got a Binnacle, and the steering wheel looks very similar, maybe just a tad smaller. We've got navigation. Let's go and take it for a drive. So this is the Sealion, which I have to say looks quite nice. So next year they're getting the Sealion 7, which is going to be a full EV. This is just the hybrid version. So I did have a look inside in the showroom, but that's not what this episode is about. But there you can see. It is an all-wheel drive, which is great. Gee, I wish this had been here a few years ago when I had my Mitsubishi plug-in hybrid. I think this probably would have even been better. So you can see they've got a few. These are all Sealions now. And here's a white one. So yeah, look at all these idiots on the highway. No lights on, and it's raining. Visibility is not the best, and yet they're all driving along ignorantly in low lights. Just stupid idiots. Fortunately, there was only 52%, I think, in the car. And I've been driving around a little bit. I had to get one of my guitars fixed, and lo and behold, I'm down to 21% already. So I think the battery in this must be smaller than the Atto, surely, which is a bit annoying. But anyway, I'm here at the AmpCharge in East Perth and charging. So first time charging the Dolphin, and I had to try it twice. There was some issue with the charger here, and I had to sort of reset it all, but it's charging again now. Alright, so I've just noticed that the charging speed is only around 65.2, 65.3. So if this was the Atto, I'd be getting close to 90. So I don't know if there's a cap on the charging speed with the Dolphin. Maybe there is, maybe it can't charge quite as quickly as the Atto. So I'll just quickly interrupt. The brochures that I download seem to indicate that the lower spec model was kept at 60 and the upper spec model at 80, but they may have done some updates since then, because I was getting slightly higher than 60. But either way, it's not terribly fast. So anyway, yeah, it's not exactly lightning speed, and I'll be here for a little while charging it yet. And first impressions of the car, well, it's not as sure-footed as the Atto. So I would say the steering seems to be slightly heavier. I don't think it's quite as balanced as the Atto 3. It's an okay car. It's not as dynamic as the Atto. I don't think the handling and the responsiveness, certainly the acceleration, is not as good as the Atto. So they're my sort of first impressions of it. The interface here looks very similar. The sounds are very similar. The sounds are very annoying, I have to say. There seems to be a lot of intrusive noises on it, worse than the Atto. So not a sort of car that I would like to own based on my hour or so driving it. I don't think I would like to own this car. The space inside is actually quite roomy, so it's a bit deceptive. Even though it's a small car, you feel very comfortable inside it. It doesn't sort of have a center console, it's just doesn't lift up. It's sort of got a storage area underneath there, you can see. The glove box looks to be a similar size. The side pockets, they're all fairly similar. Slightly different layout on it. The air vents, and obviously it's a more conservative design as well. You can see here, it's you know, although the gear stick is here, funnily enough, it's not in the center. So I've got no idea why that is. And like I said, the stop start is in an awful position as well. So yeah, for a little hatchback, I guess it's okay. I can't see any boot release down here like there is on the Atto, but I'll have a look in the boot. So yeah, no automatic tailgate, it's all totally manual. There's no buttons there you can press to close it. And you've got sort of two storage areas there. I'll put on the screen how big the boot is, and that looks like it's a tyre repair kit. Yeah, there you go. So you've got a tyre repair kit, obviously no spare. But one storage area, then another upper storage area, but still not in line with the lip here. So there's no frunk in this one, and the little bar to hold it up is on the opposite side, so it looks a little bit different. I'll put on the screen how many kilowatts it is, but there's not very much room in there, so I don't know if anybody's done a frunk for this. You could probably look online and see, but I don't think there'd be much room for a frunk. Not much real estate. And then you've got the badge, which is actually behind some plexiglass, so I don't know how easy that would be to take off and remove if you didn't like those badges. And then of course the Dolphin badge at the bottom, shark fin antenna. No scales on this. I don't really like the rear covers. I don't think they look really good. The rest of the car, like I said, is fairly conservative in design. It looks alright. I don't think it's going to win any awards for styling though. One thing I do like, I think the badge looks pretty nice. So some elements of the design are pretty good, but other than that, it's the run-of-the-mill sort of design of a hatchback. Well, I think it's the same size. It feels a tad smaller, but it's probably about the same size as the Atto, and the controls on here are very similar, so they obviously share some of the components here. The indicator stalks look identical to the ones on the Atto, and the screen feels like it's roughly the same size. It might be a tad smaller. Now if you go into tablet functions, you'll see it's very similar to the Atto screen. You know, you've got your ADAS on the energy vehicle on the side here, and of course if you go into ADAS, you've got the lane support, which you always have to turn off if you want to before you drive. Now there is some other different things, other safety things, and a speed limiter which I can't seem to disable. So you got a driver attention warning which you have to turn off if you didn't want that. Lots of different things here, and I've sort of made the steering and the brake assist comfort to try and lighten it up a little bit. It does feel a bit heavy, like I said, when you drive it compared to the Atto. Apart from that, a lot of it's very similar, and like I said, just some things I can't disable. So later on when we look at the Binnacle, I'll go through those with you. So a lot of this is similar to the Atto. You know, you've got the mirror with the light here, which is nice. The seats aren't too bad, they're reasonably comfortable, the seats. So you've got a flat floor there, so that's good if you want to put stuff there. You could easily fit 2 adults here. You could probably put a child in the middle, but I don't know, I think 3 adults would be pretty squishy. And they do have some mat pockets here. All in all, it's reasonable, but there's no air vents that I can see. No, and you've just got a couple of charging there. It looks like a USB-C and a USB-A from what I can see down there. So that's the rear. At 12 minutes, I'm up to 47%, so I guess that's not terrible, but it certainly could do with being a bit faster. I hope my next EV that I buy after the Atto is going to be a little bit faster to charge, because I know that is a big turn off for a lot of people when they buy an EV. It's usually not too much of an issue with the Atto, and especially like it's only on a long trip, you know, when you have to use a fast charger like this, that it could be problematic and you're spending more time than is necessary. So yeah, charging speed, a little bit on the slow side. So, but I'm going to go up to probably about 60%, I think, and that should be enough, because I'm actually returning this car tomorrow. We got it for 1 day. Okay, anyway, so I'm just about to wrap it up here at the charging, and like I said, I'll go through the Binnacle with you later on this afternoon. I've noticed on it, which I don't like either, is the cruise control is a little bit different to the Atto, so it seems to be very hard to set the correct speed. It seems to, with the Atto you can just sort of flick it down when you're at a certain speed when you first start it, or turn the cruise control on and it will redo it, but for some reason this one doesn't. It seems to set you at a lower speed, so I've got no idea what that is either. Another little weird quirk of it. Okay, so you can see the Binnacle looks very similar to the one on the Atto. Just a few lane keeping things there at the top. None of them I can really disable. It also has a speed warning which you can't disable either, so every time you go a few kilometers over the speed limit, it starts binging and bonging away. So a little bit annoying. Nothing you can do about it. I can't find anything to turn that off permanently either. So there's also a sign there, or the little logo there in the middle there, an orange one, which I don't even know what that is. I haven't looked in the handbook, but I can't seem to work out what it is. It seems to be permanently on as well. Getting pretty good economy so far today. I'm averaging around 12. It's rarely gone above 13, so it's quite economical, a little bit more economical than the Atto being a smaller vehicle. And everything else you can pretty much adjust the same as the Atto. So you got sport mode on, high regenerative braking, and so on. Alright, it's drawing to a close. Let's just summarize it. So I've probably come across as a little bit harsh with my review here, but look, let's just concentrate on a few positives to start with. So as a small EV, perhaps as a first EV for a young person, I think something like this would be a good car. And certainly if you didn't need the range, or you're not particularly interested in performance, there may be some young people who would be perfectly happy with this and the smaller battery size. But I don't think it's really terribly more expensive in Australia anyway to get the extended range version, and I would be doing that if you wanted to buy this sort of vehicle. It's a pretty comfortable car and reasonably spacious on the inside for this sort of class of vehicle, and pretty inoffensive with the design as well. On the negative sides, like I said, I don't think the performance, certainly in this model anyway, is not great, and the charging speed is a little bit on the slow side as well. But by far the biggest negative for me anyway is the bingy bongy nature again, and the intrusive safety features which need to be disabled, especially the silly speed limiter. I mean, really, if you're going to overtake someone, or you know, you're a couple of kilometers over, I don't see the need that it needs to bing and bong at you for that. That should be something which should be disabled. I mean, really? Geez, I don't know where we're headed with those ridiculous things. Okay, but other than that, we'll sum it up by saying it's an average car, and it may suit some people. By all means, go ahead and have a look at it. You might love it. So there you have the BYD Dolphin Dynamic version. not the car for me, but there you go. It would be a pretty boring world if everyone liked the same thing. Thank you very much for joining me today. Really appreciate that. We'll see you very soon with more great content on Down Under EV Adventures. Take care on the roads as always. Watch out for those pedestrians, and we'll see you soon. Bye for now.